So essentially, business on the reservation is a lot of parts you got to look at. And doing business on the res, you got to do it in certain ways, right? One of the best systems is personal referrals that you get from whoever it may be, but personal referrals are far the best at closing deals because they allow you to go further. Whether that's mergers and acquisitions, you're able to do that a lot. And I would highly recommend, if you know somebody that works in the tribe, try to use them as your ability to make that link happen, because the personal relationship with them automatically gives you credibility and the ability that is needed to go forward and push the deal that you're trying to do. So if your goal is doing business with the tribe, whatever it may be, with whatever tribe you're working with, personal relationships with people that work in there and have them refer you to the council or whoever, that goes by far the best method, because it builds a level of credibility automatically, because they know that person and that person has some credibility, so then it gives you credibility automatically without even meeting them. So that's what I highly recommend, is doing that. That's the first one, is personal referrals, people that work in the tribal government, be able to do business with that tribe. That goes miles. That's probably the best thing you can get, even in regular business. Personal referrals, that's just one. A second thing that I see that a lot of people need, or I think would be very advantageous for them to use, is the rise of machinery, or AI, in today's tech world, using machines to work for you. And that is by far, because you can only work so many hours in a day. If a machine replaces you, okay, you can be in that area for those hours that the machine's operating, and then you have multiple machines, well, now you're in multiple areas. So having machines replace you, I think, is a great business model to incorporate that. Now, whatever that may be, I see it happen all the time on reservations. Vending machines, I see people do that. Vending machines is a good way to get in on the market and start building credibility with that area. And they're machines, right? They're working all the time. The only area that I see a machine go down in is like maintenance, or having to refill or restock them. Those are areas that take time, right? So eventually you want to replace yourself and fire yourself from that position. So find somebody that you know, trust, whether that's a cousin, auntie, uncle, somebody you can fulfill that position, because you want to fire yourself. My uncle told me this, and he's a pretty wise guy. He says, I want to fire myself and move somebody else in there. So it's very wise, or words of wisdom what he gave me on that. So that's important. Now, the third point is, once you get past the personal referrals, or maybe do an AI or machinery, the third source is what's already working. You got to look at things that are already working out there. What are things that are working on other reservations that I can implement here? What are things that are doing well there? Would they work well here, or would they do worse here? Would they do just as well, or do they need more things? Right? What do they need? What do they need done? Would this do better? You gotta think about those things. So look at other reservations and see what business models are working well, and see if those business models can work well on your res. That's the third thing I'd look at, because some models work good on one res but won't transfer over to yours. So just keep that in mind. But something. And also, if you have a business model that works and you can scale it to other reservations, you're killing it, because there's a void right now. There's a gap in the market, and that is reservations. Doing business on the reservation, there's your gap. And how do you sync that? What that is, right? That's how you generate wealth. Now, you're going to deal with a bunch of problems when you get there, right? Because this is all res business. You're going to deal with the Eastern Bloc mentality. Things take fucking forever. They just do, right? You're going to be there all day, all week, all month, waiting for things to finally get done. Things just take forever. It's just how things work. Eastern Bloc mentality. So keep that in mind. But there is a gap. Now, And the other things you're going to have to kind of mess around with and fight. If there's businesses that are already established there, and when I mean established there, I've seen this firsthand, where I'll give you a story. So there is this chick. She was working for the tribe, and she was in a manager director position for a department, and that department was responsible for dishing out all the bids, and all these bids were being, I don't know, upwards of $1 million, $10 million, $15 million projects. That's what they're, and her department was solely responsible for that. And what she was doing was that she had a certain construction company who was getting all the bids. Say there was 10 projects, this company was getting 8 or 9 bids out of the 10. Why was he the only company getting all the bids? I would come in and I would be texting her for weeks like, hey, did this bid come out for this? Did this bid come out? Hey, what's going on? Blah, blah, X, Y, Z. And she was ignoring all of them and giving them to this guy. And she'd give one to somebody else just to throw him off her track, right? But that's what she was doing. And the reason she was doing all of that, because she had some type of agreement worked out with the guy. I don't know what it was, but they had some type of agreement worked out where he's doing upwards of, I don't know, $60-70 million worth of business with the reservation, and he has a monopoly running on it, and that's what you call racketeering. They have this whole little thing that they're doing where they're working it out. They won't let no one else in, and if another bidder tries to come in, well, she controls the bids, and she won't send them out to anybody because it's not following the policy of being this tarot certification. And they have this whole thing worked out where they have to get approved by this or that, and it's all this nonsense just to even get a bid on a job. Not even get the job, just a chance to bid on it. And they have it clicked up, and she's like, well, since I'm the director, I can choose. Since I can choose which company I want to go with. Since we have nothing on the tarot list that's there, I can choose the company now. And she's going with that guy. Well, how do you get around that, right? That's a real problem, because I'm not in the market with them. I'm not in their crew. I'm not clicked up with them. Well, how do I get around that? That's the $1 million question. Because there's an established business already that's happening. It's high end, large capital in it, large amount of profitability. So how do I get in on that? Because I'm not in their club, obvious. But I'm an Indian ran business. I'm also a tribal member. So why can't I even get in on that? What's going on? And it goes back to a simple principle of the Setian's trap. When you have an established power and a rising power, conflict is inevitable. The conflict is, in this specific scenario, is me not getting the bids or the jobs. Purposely sabotaging me. So how do I get around that, right? How do I problem solve? What are the critical thoughts that go into this type of business? And I toiled on this for a long time. I really thought about it. Because I could go complain and moan to the bitch to the council, but that's not going to go anywhere. I mean, it could go somewhere, but it's just going to be, the whole thing's with that. I'm going to need rock solid, concrete evidence to go in there and show them, hey, this is what she's doing, blah, blah, blah. That's a whole nother route. I don't want to do that, personally. So how do I go around it? Because all these bids are going out, large capital's going out. It's just good money, it's fair margins, great margins on it. And they're coming, because the competition was coming in at all these low bids, and then they would mark it up with change orders, and then they're the highest bid at the end of the job. Well, that's not right. And they're doing this on a bunch of shit. So how do you bust into something like that? Well, it's a very simple answer. I thought it was going to be a complicated answer. It's very simple. It's just having the unconquerable spirit. Literally, just being unconquerable. Just, okay, I understand that's their system. I'm going to put up with all their BS and I'm going to push through. And I'm going to keep pushing through because I can stay solvent a lot longer than they can stay solute. And that is very important, especially in business, because you're going to deal with a lot of BS. And if you want to make the big bucks, you're going to put up with a lot of things like that. So you're going to have to go around and keep pushing through and be so memorizable that they can't even compete no more. Even though that they're corrupted and they got their whole system worked out, stay solute longer than they can stay solvent. And it's actually quite easy to do that if you're good enough, if you have that desire to be untamable. It's very easy because they'll self-sabotage. It's very easy. You keep pushing through. You keep getting bids on other jobs. Sure, it may not be with the tribe now, but you can still get bids. You have to do a lot more marketing, a lot more door-to-doors. You can still get bids. And this is specifically for one scenario. Problem solving. Being unconquerable. Keeping the payroll coming. Trying. Competing. Always doing your best. Quite frankly, they're very old. I'm very young. Time is on my side. They're aging out. I'm aging in. So you as a business owner got to think of, okay, if there is this